So I want to share with you some of the unpopular opinions about hiring people or about bringing people on your team. So whether you're hiring them or whether you're making them part of your team, whatever the scenario that is, there are some things about selecting people that many people overlook because they're not real popular, okay? So we're going to cover a few of these. Hopefully it'll allow you to build a championship team. These days, if you want to take anything to market, you want to be successful at anything, you're not going to do it alone. Repeat, you will not do it alone. You need to have a great team. You need to have people that can support you on your mission, where you're going, code of honor, all those things that we've talked about. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Blair. I'm Rich Dad Advisor, author of 3 best-selling books in the area of team, sales, creating your future, leadership, personal development, okay? And I'm here to share with you some of the things that are on the other side of the coin that most people aren't talking about. But if you don't understand them, it could cost you a lot of time, a lot of frustration, a lot of heartache, and cost you money, okay? So let's dig into these things. Okay, number one of the most unpopular opinions about hiring is, the opinion is, well, I'm just getting started and I'll just hire my family. My brother, my sisters, my cousins, my parents. Please don't do that. Here's why. I'm not saying it won't work, but here's what I'm going to say, is if you're doing it out of expediency, in other words, you're doing it to save money, bad decision. Why? Think about the psychological issues here. Your family knows you from when you were this big, right? So their opinions about you, their advice to you, the way they treat you is all tainted with all that old conditioning. Now, you say, well, my family's not quite like that. Well, we'll see. Once you start having to make important decisions, you start adding money to the formula, who gets what money, what percentages, all those things, you add a whole dimension of personal development, little voice psychosis to a formula that you don't need to have. Same thing is true. Well, I've been friends with my best friend for 15 years, and we're going to start a business together because we really know and like each other. Well, you know and like each other in a different context, in a context of play, in a context of study, context of sports, whatever that is. That's great. But when it comes to business, the rules for business are different than family. The rules for family are different than sports. So not everybody responds the same way. I can tell you that we had a global franchise, and I was in partners with one of my dearest best friends for over 15 years. And ultimately it did not work out. Not because he was bad, not because I was bad, it just didn't work out, because when it came to those kinds of decisions, we didn't see eye to eye. So I'm going to say, go for the ideal dream team when you're looking for people. Who would be the perfect person to be on your team? What's that profile look like? Don't default to family and friends to fill a need simply because you don't have enough money. Because the truth of it is, if your mission is strong enough and you're good enough at pitching it, you can get people for pennies on the dollar because they want to be part of something bigger than themselves and they want to work with you, okay? So don't fall prey to that one. That's number one. Number two, should you hire skill? Should you hire attitude? Should you hire vision? So what do you hire personality? What do you do? So again, that's going to be your decision, but understand that it's not just about the skill. If you're looking for somebody to do social media for you, for example, okay, they may be skilled in social media, but what's your business like? Are you changing all the time? Are you very entrepreneurial? Are you take a lot of risks, make a lot of mistakes? Are they consistent? All these things are on top of the skill, okay? So I would rather have somebody that's got some vision of where we're coming from, can see what we're trying to do, that has the mental discipline and the right attitude to do the job. They can learn. Everybody can learn just about anything if they have also the desire to learn, okay? So again, don't just be hiring for skills. Hire for attitude. Hire for personal vision for themselves and who they can be and how they can help the company. Now, here's another one, number 3. Do you really need to hire people? I mean, do you really need to hire people? In this day and age, everything has changed quite a bit. Not everybody is made to change mentally, but maybe you don't need to hire people. Why do I say that? Well, in a world of social media, think about this, okay? You go out and you put your message out to the world through social media. Who you are, what you do, what your vision is, what you're trying to accomplish. And you build a community of like-minded people. People that like your message will listen and comment and become part of that. So as you build a community, some of those people in the community will convert into being customers of yours, right? Right? Because they'll buy your products, your services, whatever it is that you're offering somewhere down the line, somewhere through that funnel. And some of those customers actually may become part of your team. Part of your team. They might sell for you, might be volunteer commission salespeople, might donate intellectual property, might do joint ventures with you. So they actually become part of your team. Now, that team then helps you build a community. Now, what is all that? I call that a movement. What I've seen in 2020 and 2021 is a different type of team. It's not exactly the same as hiring people for this job. Now, if your business gets to a certain size, you're going to have to hire for some of those things. But in the beginning stages, you may not have to do that. We have a global organization, the Blair Singer Training Academy, with trainers in over 40 countries around the world that have all gone through our curriculum or are in the process of doing that. We joint venture together. I'm doing programs in Japan. I'm doing programs in Thailand and India. I'm not having to hire people to do that. We're doing it as joint ventures, as affiliates. It's a movement. We work together. If I had to pay for all that stuff, I would have to raise millions and millions of dollars of capital in order to do something like that. But I don't. So I get the advantage of millions of dollars of capital, but I get it through my ability to communicate, to create a movement, and to not have to hire everybody that I need to be part of my team. People all over, people in Italy have very specific responsibilities with their team. People in Brazil have very specific responsibilities with their team. People in Mexico and Thailand and India have very specific responsibilities as if they were employees, but they're not. Because when they win, I win. When I win, they win. It's a very different kind of team. So think before you hire. You may not have to hire everybody, okay? Number 4. Tom Wheelwright, another Rich Dad advisor, said this really well. When it comes to hiring or buying anything in your business from a financial accounting perspective, that's called an expense. Now, what's the purpose of an expense? Listen closely. He says, my CPA says, the purpose of an expense is to generate income. I'll say it again. The purpose of an expense is to generate income. Now, the purpose of an asset is to generate cash flow. Purpose of a liability is to purchase an asset. Purpose of an expense is to create income. So if you're going to spend money on people, things, whatever it is, if it's not directly generating income for you, think twice. Think twice. That's one of the reasons that in our organization, part of my code of honor for many years has been everybody on the team must sell. Now they sell at different levels, but everybody's got to sell. Because as an employee, as a person who I'm paying a wage to, that's the wage is an expense. And for that expense, I need to see some income. Okay? You can say, well, they kind of do this. I understand you'll rationalize in your own mind, but keep in mind, the purpose of an expense is to generate income. Go back and look at your profit and loss. Go back and look at your income statement and see how many of those expenses generate income and how many of them don't. You might need to do a little housekeeping, okay? Number 5. Well, I already mentioned this. Everyone sells. If you're going to have a great team, one of the most unpopular things is when you're interviewing somebody and they say, you'd like to be part of the team. Well, one of our rules is that everybody on the team's got to sell. Well, I don't sell. I remember back in the days when I owned a franchise, we were looking for a CFO, a Chief Financial Officer. And we interviewed a lot of very good candidates, some very, very good candidates. And I happened to mention in these interviews, I said, one of the rules is everybody's got to sell. And most of them said, well, I don't do that. That's not my training. I'm accounting and financial management. I go, great. Until finally, I found one woman. Her name was Julie. Julie, very, very qualified CPA. And I said, everybody's got to sell. Are you okay with that? She goes, well, she had a sweet little voice. She goes, well, I don't know how to sell, but I'm certainly willing to learn if that's what's required to be part of the team. Bingo! And she was awesome. She helped us through some very difficult times when we needed to sell to the bank and we needed to sell to our creditors. She also was very, very good at giving us great cash flow statements, so we were right on top of all of our expenses, our cash flow all the time. So everyone must sell. That's another unpopular one. And here's the other, number 6, finally, number 6. They already know. Okay, so when you talk to somebody and you're interviewing them for your position or become part of your team, be wary of the message that says, "I already know that. We know that." Why? Because at some point you know that their brain is already partially shut. Okay, maybe they do know, but the sign of a good team member is like, "Well, tell me more. Tell me more about that. How does that work? I have some experience with it, but I'm not sure how you do it. Tell me how this works." So when people say, "I already know that," that's a big warning sign for me. I've just learned over the years, when somebody says they already know that, their brain is kind of closed a little bit, because I know I don't already know it all either, okay? So again, if you're looking for people to be part of a championship team, a team that will allow you to grow, allow you to expand, those are some clues. I recently finished a book called Shoe Dog, not Sales Dog, Shoe Dog, written by Phil Knight, one of the co-founders of Nike. I'm sure you've heard of Nike. His partner was his track coach at Oregon, whose name was Bill Bowerman. Now, he took on a different approach. His approach in building his company is it made no money. It made very, very little money for the first 3 or 4 years. And he brought in ex-team members. Now, let me explain that. I said, don't bring in your best friends, all that stuff. But what he did is he was a runner himself, competed at the collegiate level, and he brought in other runners that he had worked with or references from his coaches. Why? It's a little bit different because they were runners. He understands the endurance of a runner, the mindset of a runner. He understands how they respond under pressure, where their minds go when things aren't always going correctly. And so from that perspective, he built an amazing team. He built an amazing team of a cast of characters that are now tens of thousands of employees that work for Nike, a huge campus in Oregon. It's a great success story. But again, some of the methods of picking people for your team are unconventional and unpopular. Be wary of people teaching you how to hire people that have never hired people before, for one. And be wary of people that are giving you their advice that's 10, 15, 25, 35, 40 years old, okay? We live in different times. Teams look very, very different than they did in the past. Affiliates, movements, joint ventures, these are the makings of multi-million dollar teams. So don't get wired into hiring unless it's going to generate you some income, because remember, it's an expense, okay? So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you got some questions, comment in. Let me know if you have some questions about it or you have some violent opposition to it. I'm good with that. I love that stuff. Let me know. Subscribe to the channel, so I can keep you posted on the new videos. We're putting in new videos every week. And also go to blairsinger.com, where there was a ton of information on how to build championship teams, how to get your new entrepreneurial business started, Rich Dad Advisor advice on how to get your business started, all kinds of great things, and not the least of how to master the little voice between your ears, okay? So be awesome. Hope you enjoyed it.